You're standing at the starting line of a race. Your heart's pounding, palms sweaty, and all you can think about is crossing that finish line first. But what if I told you that fixating on winning might be the very thing holding you back? That's right, my friends. Today, we're going to explore a paradox that could change your life. If you want to win, don't focus on winning. I know what you were thinking. How can I win if I'm not focused on winning? It sounds counterintuitive, does not it? But bear with me, because this principle has the power to transform not just how you compete, but how you live your life. Start by understanding what happens when we become obsessed with winning. When all we can think about is that gold medal, that promotion, or that #1 spot, we create an enormous amount of pressure for ourselves. This pressure can be paralyzing. It can make us rigid, inflexible, and afraid to take risks. We become so focused on the end result that we forget to enjoy the journey. But here is the beautiful truth. Life is not just about the destination. It is about the path we take to get there. It is about growth, learning, and becoming the best version of ourselves. When we shift our focus from winning to growing, something magical happens. We liberate ourselves from the chains of expectation and open ourselves up to possibilities we never imagined. Think about a tree for a moment. Does a tree focus on being the tallest in the forest? No. It simply concentrates on growing, reaching for the sunlight, spreading its roots deep into the earth. And in doing so, it becomes exactly what it is meant to be. Some will grow tall, others will grow wide, but each will be perfect in its own unique way. The same principle applies to us. When we focus on our personal growth rather than outperforming others, we tap into our true potential. We become more creative, more resilient, and more fulfilled. And here's the kickers. This approach often leads to better results than if we had focused. There was once a young musician who was obsessed with becoming the best guitarist in the world. He practiced for hours every day, pushing himself to the point of exhaustion. But no matter how much he improved, he always felt like he was falling short. He was so focused on being the best that he lost the joy of playing music. One day, frustrated and ready to quit, he met an old blues player on the street. The old man's fingers danced across the strings, creating music that touched the young guitarist's soul. When asked about his secret, the old man simply said, "I don't play to be the best. I play because I love the music. Each day, I try to play a little better than I did yesterday. That's all." The simple wisdom changed everything for the young musician. He stopped comparing himself to others and started focusing on his own growth. He explored new styles, collaborated with other musicians, and rediscovered his love for music. And you know what? As he relaxed and focused on improvement rather than competition, his playing soared to new heights. He may not have become the best guitarist in the world, but he became the best version of himself. And that's a far greater victory. This principle extends far beyond music. In business, the companies that thrive are often those that focus not on beating their competitors, but on innovating and providing the best possible value to their customers. In sports, the athletes who achieve greatness are those who are committed to constant improvement, not just winning at all costs. Consider the tortoise eyes and the hare. We all know the story, but have you ever stopped to think about why the tortoise won? It wasn't because he was focused on beating the hare. He was simply committed to moving forward steadily, one step at a time. The hare, consumed by the idea of winning, became overconfident and lost focus. The tortoise's victory wasn't about speed. It was about consistency, perseverance, and staying true to his own path. I am not saying that winning is not important. Of course it is. We all want to succeed in our endeavors. But when we make winning our sole focus, we set ourselves up for disappointment and miss out on the richness of the journey. How do we shift our focus from winning to growth? It starts with changing our internal dialogue. Instead of asking, "How can I be the best?" ask yourself, "How can I improve today?" Rather than, "How can I beat my competition?" consider, "How can I add more value?" These small shifts in thinking can lead to profound changes in your approach to life and work. Another powerful technique is to redefine what success means to you. Society often tells us that success is about accolades, wealth, or status. But true success is deeply personal. It might mean living a life aligned with your values, making a positive impact on others, or simply finding joy in what you do every day. When you clarify what success means to you, you'll find that winning takes on a whole new meaning. It is also crucial to embrace failure as a part of the growth process. When we're fixated on winning, failure can be devastating. But when our focus is on growth, failure becomes a valuable teacher. Every setback is an opportunity to learn, to adjust our course, and to come back stronger. Think about a child learning to walk. They fall countless times, but do they give up? Do they compare themselves to other children who are already walking? No. They simply keep trying, driven by an innate desire to grow and explore. We would do well to approach our own challenges with the same mindset. Competition for a moment. Some of you might be thinking, but is not competition important? Does not it drive us to be better? And you are absolutely right. Competition can be a powerful motivator. But there is a big difference between using competition as a tool for growth and letting it consume you. When we compete with others, we're playing a finite game. There can only be one winner, and our success is measured relative to others. But when we compete with ourselves, striving to be better than we were yesterday, we're playing an infinite. There is always room for improvement, always a new level to reach. This mindset shift can transform how you approach every aspect of your life. In your career, instead of obsessing over promotions or outperforming your colleagues, focus on developing your skills and adding value to your organization. You'll likely find that advancement comes naturally as a result of your growth. In your relationships, rather than trying to be right all the time, concentrate on understanding and empathy. When we let go of the need to win every argument, we open ourselves up to deeper connections and mutual growth. Even in your hobbies and personal pursuits, shifting your focus from being the best to continuous improvement can reignite your passion and lead to greater satisfaction. Whether you're learning a new language, taking up painting, or working on your fitness, celebrate each small step forward rather than comparing yourself to others. I know what some of you are thinking. This all sounds great in theory, but how do I actually put it into practice? Well, my friends, like any meaningful change, it starts with small, consistent actions. Begin each day by setting an intention for growth. It could be as simple as learning one new thing, practicing a skill for 15 minutes, or finding a way to add value to someone else's life. These small actions, compounded over time, lead to tremendous growth. Practice mindfulness and stay present in the moment. When we're constantly thinking about the end result, we miss the beauty and lessons of the present. Whether you are in a meeting, working out, or spending time with loved ones, fully engage with what's happening right now. Cultivate gratitude for where you are in your journey. It is easy to get caught up in where we want to be, but taking time to appreciate how far we've come can provide the motivation to keep growing. Each night, reflect on what you've learned and how you've grown that day. Surround yourself with people who support your growth mindset. Seek out mentors and friends who challenge you to be better, not just to win. Create a community that values personal development over competition. And perhaps most importantly, be kind to yourself. Growth is not always linear. There will be setbacks, plateaus, and moments of doubt. But if you stay committed to the process, if you keep showing up and putting in the work, you will make progress. Remember, the goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to be better than you were yesterday. Each small improvement, each lesson learned, each obstacle overcome is a victory in itself. And as you stack these small victories day after day, you'll find that you are achieving things you never thought possible. There was a young woman who dreamed of running a marathon. At first, all she could think about was crossing that finish line, beating a certain time, proving to everyone that she could do it. But as she began her training, she realized that focusing solely on the end goal was overwhelming. So she shifted her approach. Instead of fixating on the marathon, she focused on becoming a better runner each day. She celebrated each extra mile she could run, each improvement in her form. Each day, she showed up to train even when she didn't feel like. She began to enjoy the process of running itself. The way it cleared her mind, the sense of accomplishment after a good workout, the gradual strengthening of her body. By the time race day came around, something extraordinary had happened. Not only was she physically prepared, but she had fallen in love with running. Crossing the finish line was still a thrilling moment, but she realized that the real victory was in the person she had become through the journey. This, my friends, is the power of focusing on growth rather than winning. When we commit to this approach, we don't just achieve our goals, we transform ourselves in the process. This does not mean you should never set goals or strive for achievement. Goals are important. They give us direction and motivation. But the key is to see them as milestones in your growth journey, not as the be-all and end-all of your efforts. Think of it this way. Your goals are like stars guiding a ship across the ocean. They provide direction, but the real adventure, the real growth, happens during the voyage itself. The challenges you overcome, the skills you develop, the discoveries you make along the way. These are the true treasures of your journey. As we begin to embrace this mindset, we also start to see the world differently. We become less threatened by the success of others because we understand that their journey is different from ours. Instead of jealousy, we feel inspired. Instead of competition, we see opportunities for collaboration and mutual growth. This shift in perspective can have a profound impact on our society as a whole. Imagine a world where people are more focused on personal growth and adding value than on outcompeting each other. We would see more innovation, more cooperation, and more collective progress. In our schools, we could foster a love of learning rather than a preoccupation with grades. In our workplaces, we could create environments that encourage creativity and collaboration rather than cutthroat competition. In our communities, we could build connections based on mutual support and shared growth. But this change starts with each of us, in our own lives, in our own minds. It starts with the decision to value progress over perfection, growth over winning, and the journey over the destination. Shift your focus. Instead of asking, how can I win? Ask yourself, how can I grow? Instead of how can I be the best, consider how can I be better than I was yesterday. When you wake up tomorrow morning, set an intention for growth. It does not have to be grand or life-changing. Maybe it is learning one new thing, showing a little more patience, or taking one small step toward a goal. Whatever it is, commit to it, and then do it again the next day and the next. As you do this, pay attention to how you feel. Notice the sense of accomplishment that comes from personal growth. Observe how your perspective shifts, how your resilience increases, how your life becomes richer and more fulfilling. As you focus less on winning and more on growing, you'll likely find that you start winning more than ever before. But the wins will be sweeter because they'll be a byproduct of your growth, not the sole focus of your efforts. Remember the tree we talked about earlier? Be like that tree. Focus on growing strong roots, reaching for the light, adapting to your environment. Trust that if you do this, you will become exactly what you're meant to be. In your relationships, focus on growing in understanding and compassion. In your career, concentrate on growing your skills and the value you bring. In your personal life, commit to growing in self-awareness and authenticity. Embrace challenges as opportunities for growth. When you face an obstacle, instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what can I learn from this? Every difficulty, every setback, every failure is a chance to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Celebrate the growth of others as well as your own. When you see someone succeed, let it inspire you rather than threaten you. Their growth does not diminish your own. In fact, it can motivate and teach you. Practice patience with yourself and with the process. Real lasting growth takes time. It is not about dramatic transformations overnight, but consistent small improvements over time. Trust the process and keep moving forward one step at a time. And always remember that you're on your own unique journey. Your path does not have to look like anyone else's. Your growth, your progress, your victories, they are yours alone, and they are valuable simply because they are yours. As we come to the end of our time together, I want to leave you with this thought. Life is not a race to be won, but a journey to be savored. It is not about reaching a final destination, but about who you become along the way. Go forth and grow. Learn, explore, challenge yourself. Fall down, get back up, and keep moving forward. Celebrate your progress no matter how small it might seem. Be patient with yourself, but never stop striving to be better. And as you do this, as you shift your focus from winning to growing, you may just find that you start winning in ways you never imagined possible. Not because you were trying to win, but because you were committed to becoming the best version of yourself. Remember, if you want to win, don't focus on winning. Focus on growth, on improvement, on the journey. The rest will follow. Thank you for your attention, my friends. Now go out there and grow. Grow. The world is waiting for the unique gifts that only you can offer. Embrace your journey, trust the process, and watch as you blossom into the magnificent being you were always meant to be. May your path be filled with growth, joy, and countless small victories, and may you always remember that the greatest win of all is becoming who you truly are. Go forth and grow, my friends. The adventure awaits. This transformative mindset, my friends. Consider for a moment the concept of success itself. We often think of success as a destination, a fixed point we're trying to reach. But what if we reimagine success as a continuum, an ever-evolving journey of growth and self-discovery? In this light, every day becomes an opportunity for success. Every challenge, every setback, every moment of doubt becomes a chance to grow, to learn, to become more than we were yesterday. This shift in perspective can be utterly liberating. Think about the last time you felt stuck or frustrated in your pursuits. Perhaps you were working towards a goal and progress seemed painfully slow. In those moments, it is easy to lose sight of the bigger picture. But when we focus on growth rather than a fixed endpoint, we open ourselves up to unexpected opportunities and discoveries. Consider the story of penicillin. Alexander Fleming wasn't trying to discover one of the most important medicines in history. He was simply curious, open to learning, and attentive enough to notice something unusual in his petri dishes. His growth mindset, his willingness to explore and learn, led to a discovery that has saved countless lives. This principle applies in our daily lives too. When we approach our work, our relationships, our hobbies with a growth mindset, we invite serendipity into our lives. We become more adaptable, more resilient, and more innovative. Resilience for a moment. In a world that's constantly changing, resilience is perhaps one of the most valuable skills we can cultivate. And here is the beautiful thing. Focusing on growth naturally builds resilience. When your primary goal is to grow and learn, setbacks become valuable data points rather than devastating failures. Each obstacle becomes a puzzle to solve, each failure a lesson to learn from. This does not mean that setbacks won't hurt or that failures won't sting. They absolutely will. But a growth mindset gives you the tools to bounce back strong. Think of it like building a muscle. When you work out, you are essentially creating tiny tears in your muscle fibers. It is in the recovery, in the healing of those tears, that the muscle grows stronger. The same principle applies to our mental and emotional resilience. Each challenge we face, each setback we overcome, builds our capacity to handle future obstacles. I want to address something important. Some of you might be thinking, but what about ambition? What about striving for greatness? And these are valid questions. The idea of focusing on growth rather than winning does not mean abandoning your dreams or settling for mediocrity. Far from it. In fact, adopting a growth mindset can actually fuel your ambition and help you achieve even greater things. When you are not constrained by a fixed idea of success or winning, you are free to dream bigger, to take more risks, to explore paths you might never have considered before. Consider some of those innovative and successful people in history. They didn't achieve greatness by focusing solely on beating their competition. They were driven by curiosity, by a desire to learn and grow, by a vision of what could be possible. Take the Wright brothers, for example. They weren't the only ones trying to achieve powered flight. They weren't even the best funded or the most qualified, but they were relentlessly curious, constantly learning, always seeking to understand more. Their focus wasn't on beating their competitors to be first in flight. It was on solving the puzzle of aviation. And in doing so, they changed the world. That's another important point. The power of intrinsic motivation. When we're focused on winning, on external validation and rewards, we're relying on extrinsic motivation. And while extrinsic motivation can be powerful in the short term, it often fails to sustain us in the long run. But when we're focused on growth, on becoming the best version of ourselves, we tap into intrinsic motivation. We're driven by curiosity, by the satisfaction of learning and improving, by the joy of the process itself. This kind of motivation is sustainable. It can carry us through the tough times, the plateaus, the moments of doubt. Think about a time when you were so engrossed in an activity that you lost track of time. Maybe you were playing music or painting or solving a complex problem at work. That state of flow, that deep engagement, is a hallmark of intrinsic motivation. And it is much more likely to occur when we're focused on the process of growth rather than the end result of winning. Fear for a moment? Fear of failure, fear of not measuring up, fear of looking foolish. These fears can be paralyzing. They can keep us from taking risks, from putting ourselves out there, from pursuing our dreams. And often these fears are rooted in a fixation on winning, on being the best, on never making mistakes. But when we shift our focus to growth, we can begin to reframe these fears. Instead of asking, what if I fail? We can ask, what might I learn? Instead of worrying about looking foolish, we can embrace the beginner's mindset, finding joy and excitement in the process of learning something new. This does not mean the fear disappears entirely. Fear is a natural part of growth and change, but by focusing on growth, we can develop a healthier relationship with fear. We can see it not as a stop sign, but as a signal that we're pushing our boundaries, that we're in a place where real growth can occur. Remember, my friends, that growth often happens outside of our comfort zone. It is in those moments of discomfort, of uncertainty, of challenge that we have the greatest opportunity to learn and evolve. By embracing a growth mindset, we can learn to lean into that discomfort, to see it as a sign that we're on the right path. Consider the impact this mindset can have on our relationships when we're fixated on winning, on being right, on coming out on top. Our relationships can become battlegrounds. We might find ourselves constantly comparing, competing, trying to prove our worth. But when we focus on growth, our relationships can become gardens, places of mutual nurturing and flourishing. We become more open to learning from others, more willing to admit our mistakes, more capable of true empathy and understanding. We can celebrate the successes of others without feeling diminished, knowing that their growth does not come at the expense of our own. In our professional lives, this mindset can transform the way we approach our work. Instead of seeing colleagues as competitors, we can view them as collaborators in our mutual growth. Instead of hoarding knowledge to maintain an edge, we can share freely, knowing that teaching others deepens our own understanding. This approach can even change the way we view leadership. The best leaders aren't those who always have the right answers or who never make mistakes. The best leaders are those who foster growth in themselves, in their teams, in their organizations. They create environments where curiosity is encouraged, where failure is seen as a stepping stone to success, where continuous learning is valued above all else. As we wrap up our time together, I want to leave you with a vision. Imagine a world where the focus is on growth rather than winning at all costs. A world where curiosity is valued more than certainty, where collaboration trumps competition, where the journey is celebrated as much as the destination. In this world, schools would be places of joyful discovery rather than stress and comparison. Workplaces would buzz with creativity and innovation. Communities would come together to support each other's growth and development. Relationships would be characterized by mutual support and understanding. This world is not just a fantasy. It is a possibility that each of us can help create, starting right here, right now, with a simple shift in focus. From winning to growing. From being the best to becoming our best selves. From fearing failure to embracing the lessons it can teach us. I challenge you, my friends, as you go forth from here, pay attention to where your focus lies. When you find yourself fixating on winning, on being the best, on avoiding failure at all costs, gently redirect your attention to growth. How can I learn from this? How can I improve? How can I use this experience to become more than I am right now? And remember, this is not about perfection. It is about progress. It is about waking up each day with the intention to grow, to learn, to become a little bit better than you were yesterday. It is about embracing the beautiful, messy, unpredictable journey of life with open arms and an open heart. You have within you infinite potential for growth and transformation. You have the power to shape your life, to impact your world, to become more than you ever dreamed possible. And it all starts with a simple shift in focus. So go forth, my friends. Grow, learn, explore. Embrace the challenges, celebrate the victories, big and small. And always remember, if you want to truly win at life, don't focus on winning. Focus on growing. The rest will follow. May your journey be filled with growth, with joy, with endless discoveries. And may you always know that the greatest adventure of all is becoming who you truly are. Godspeed on your journey, my friends. The world is waiting for the unique gifts that only you can offer. Go forth and grow.